Let's try again. Hi guys, it's Marina from Tech News with another tutorial. We are going to cover MERN stack CRUD operations, and we are going to do it now. I think it was better. Anyway, let's go. Okay, so guys, let's open our terminal. I will cd into desktop because that's where I want to create the application. We will make a new directory CRUD MERN, and let's cd into CRUD MERN. Here we will npx create React app to create our React application that we will call client. While it's installing, I'm pressing Command T to open a new window in terminal, and here we will npm init with all default values. Okay. After that, we will install only Express, Course, and Mongoose. Okay. Let's open this folder in VS Code now. Open our terminal here, and let's create our server. Let's create our server.js file in the root folder, and maybe okay. So now in our server.js we can just const app const express equals require express. These are our main imports. Const course equal require course. Then we have mongoose, require mongoose. And finally we have our app that is an express application. Here will be our first route. Here you write the URI, it's localhost, blah blah blah. I think we will be using the port 3001. So it's localhost 3001 / like a home route. And we have a callback function of request and response. So we can send the response like express is here. And when we set our app to listen at port 3001, we have a function here that will just console log that server is running. And now with this small amount of code, we can say node-mon server.js, and our server is running, okay? And we can check this if we go to our Chrome. We can go to localhost 3001, and here is our express. Okay. So what we want to do, we want to check if our React application is ready. Happy hacking, so it's ready. It means that we can cd into client, and we can install also some packages here. In our tutorial, we are going to need npm install Axios, React Router DOM, and React Bootstrap and Bootstrap. Okay. I think we only need these packages, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the meantime, let's go to React Bootstrap website, get started, and we will copy the style sheet. Okay, import this. We go to the client folder, source folder, index.js, and here we can paste the copied line. So now our React Bootstrap is working. We can open a second terminal window here, and finally cd into client and npm start to start our React application. If it's working, then we can dive right into coding. I hope I look okay, because I don't see myself. So inconvenient in OBS Studio. Okay, it's working. Now, what I want to do. First of all, let's go to our main component, app.js. I will close the terminal, and instead of returning all of this, we will just return an h1 that will say home page. And we can remove also this unused import. Home page. Here I would like to have a button that when we click it, we go to the next page where we can create a post. Let's do that. For this, let's import the button from React Bootstrap. And we will return this button here that will say next. And on click, we want to do something. We want to navigate. For this, we will import something from React Router DOM, new version 6. We need to import the use navigate hook. So this is one of the main differences between the previous version of React Router DOM. We have to declare navigate as use navigate hook, and then button on click, we can just write an inline function that will be just navigate to some address. I think this address will be localhost 3000 because React is on localhost 3000, you see. And then we want to go to /create page. Yes, so here we can provide just create. It will not work for now because we need to create this component where we want to go. Let's create a new file here, create post.js. Here we will have a simple function, create post, simple functional component that will return a div with an h1 for now, create a post. And we will export it as default, create post component. So now that our functional component is ready, we can go back to our index.js file and configure the routing. With the version 6 of React Router DOM, we do it like that. We import browser router, routes, and route. And all we have to do is to wrap all of our components that will be used in the routing inside the browser router first, and then I will cut this for a while. And after that we have the routes. And inside the routes we have a separate route for each component. And here we do like this: element equals up, and path equals just the home route. We don't need to specify exact path as in the previous version, so it's more convenient. Now we can also copy this line and import another functional component that we just created, that is called create post. This will be located, as we said, at /create, and element is create post. So now I think it should be working. We have our home page. Now we click next and we are at the create a post page. Also, we will not be doing the full styling here, so I will be just using the inline styling, even if it is not such a good practice. Style equals, let's say, width 90%, because now we will minimize our window, and the margin auto, and text align center. Okay, now we will do inspect, like that, maybe a bit bigger, like this. What are we doing wrong? Margin, there is a typo, margin. Okay, so it will look like this. Okay, and our VS Code I will minimize a bit as well. So here I would like to have a button that when we click it, we go back to the previous component. Let's do that. So for this, we import button from React Bootstrap, and let's say I want the button here that will say back, and on click we want to go back, so we also need to import use navigate from React Router DOM and declare it here. So now we can use this navigate variable in our onClick method. So onClick, to go back, we say navigate to -1. Okay, so go back, home page, next, it's working. Okay, let's do just a basic styling of of our buttons. What I would like to do here is just, you know, width 100%. Here I would like to delete the class name and also the styles, and just do style equals width 90%, margin auto, and text align center. So okay, this button I want a variant of outline dark. So we click next, and let's style also a bit this back button. What we do is style equals width 100%, variant equals outline dark. Okay, I think looks good. So on this create a post page, we would like to return a form for the post. Okay, so let's do that. Let's import the form from React Bootstrap and return it right under our header. Inside the form we have form.group tag, and inside form.group we will have two inputs, post title and post description. So first, form control is an input, and the second one. Here the name will be title, and here the name will be description. Okay, the placeholder will be also title, and here placeholder will be description. Okay, so I will also add some inline styling here, just to add some margin at the bottom of 1 rem. And also the same here. Okay, now that we're done with styling, let's write our first functions. So what we would like to do is, when we type something here, we want to track what we are typing and to save it to the local state. For this, let's import the use state hook from React, from React. And here we will initiate our state. So it will be like post set post equals use state, and it will be an object. In this object we are going to have two fields, the title that will be initially empty and the description that will be initially empty. And so in our form control, in our inputs, we want to add the onChange method. So on change, when we are typing something, we would like to launch a function that is called, let's say, handle change, and the same function will be here. But for us to track what we are typing and to save to the state, we also need a value for each of our inputs. In this case, the value of the first input is coming from our state, so it will be post.title, and here will be post.description. Okay, now let's create this handle change function. So we write const handle change is a function that takes an event, and in our case, look, console log event.target. If we just start to type something, this function will launch, and you can see what we mean by event.target. Okay, refresh the page. Now, Marina, you see, we are just console logging this event on this input. Now what we want to do, we want to extract the name and the value of this event to two variables. So to deconstruct these two variables, name and value, we use this syntax. We say const name value equals event.target. Okay. And now what we want to do is we want to set our post to something. Here we have access to the previous input, and we want to return an object with the previous inputs, and where name, dynamic name, equals value. Okay, so now when we are typing, we are actually saving what we are typing to this state, and consequently changing the value of each input. To test this, let's import another useful hook that is called use effect, and we will do like use effect equals use effect is inside takes an anonymous function that we will just console log the post, our state, and it will depend on the state. Here in the square brackets you write the name of variables, or you write some value that when this value is changing, the use effect function launches. Okay, so now let's see what we are console logging. Marina, you see, and description is Kim. So we are tracking the state. Awesome. Now all we have to do is use Axios to send this piece of information to our backend, to our server. I will delete this function, and we need another button here to save to send to the server, to save to the database. Inside our form, we will create another button that will be called like save post or create a post, and on click it will call a function handle click. Now we will create this function. So we will say const handle click equals a function that also takes an event, and we want to event.prevent default behavior so it doesn't reload the page. And then what we want to do is to import Axios. From Axios we delete the use effect, and we do an API call like this: Axios.post, because we are posting information to the database at URL http localhost 3001/create. But for the information, we don't have to write all this URI. We can cut this part and leave just /create. But for this to work, we need to go to the package.json file inside our client folder and add an additional key that is called proxy, and we paste it here. Okay, but when we change the proxy in the package.json file, we usually have to restart both our server and our client. So let's do this. npm start. You see it's restarting, and while it's restarting, let's go back to our create post page and style a bit this ugly button. It will be also width of 100 and margin bottom 1 rem, and maybe it will be variant of outline success, because we are creating something, and it looks much better already. Now, we said when we click create post function, we want to launch this handle click function. Here what we do is we axios.post at /create, and as a second argument we need to provide piece of data that we are posting to the database. In our case, this is simply our state that is called post, that is an object. So we can just say post, and then we do the basic promise error handling and stuff. We have access to response here. We can just console log the response, and after we catch an error, console log the error. Okay, so it looks something like this. Now we are sending this state to the server.js file, where we can write our first API. app.post /create callback function of request and response, and for now all we want to do is just to console log our request.body and see what's happening in our server terminal. Okay, now I will reload the page and say Marina Kim create post, and undefined. Nice, I like it. What's up? Why undefined? Create rec.body app.post /create Axios /create post. Let me try again. Marina Kim create post, and undefined. So nice. Maybe okay, let's do some debugging. It's part of the development process. Here, instead of calling the API, we will console log our state, and we will see that we are sending actually some data to the DB. Title Marina, description Kim. I know what is the problem. Let's go back to our server.js file, and we have 0 configs here, 0 middleware. We need some middleware to check all the HTTP requests coming in and going out. So for this, after we declare the app, we need to do like app.use express.json. Okay, first middleware. Then we have app.use express.url encoded, where extended equals to false. And third one, app.use course, and that's it. And now it should work. Let's try again. Hello, Marina, create post, and ta-da! Ta-da! I saw that we are sending this data, but we are sending the data. We are not sending the data. We are just console logging the post. Now let's uncomment this line and try the last time. Now I'm sure it will work. Try again, Marina, create post, and voila, we are receiving the data in the backend. Now what we want to do is to save this data to the database. For this, we start with our mongoose. So after the middleware and before our API routes, let's connect to our database. For this, we write mongoose.connect at local MongoDB. Today we will be using local MongoDB, but it's not a big difference with the MongoDB Atlas. Okay, next time I will use the MongoDB Atlas. So the local MongoDB URI is MongoDB //localhost 27017 / and we provide the name of our database. Let's call it MyDB. Okay, MyDB. And after we connect to the database, let's also catch an error if we have, and console log the error. We need to create our database schema and model. For this, let's declare a post schema that equals to mongoose.schema, where we have only 2 fields. It's basically the title, that is a string, and a description, that is also a string. Okay. Then, to create the modal, we say const post. Is just a general practice to call it with a capital P, capital letter. So it is a mongoose.modal The first argument is just a string value of the modal, and here the name of the schema that we are using, post schema. Okay, now that we have configured the schema and the modal, we can, instead of console login the request.body, we can refer to this post schema and create some data. So we can use post.create method. Inside we provide like data that we want to create. We say title, title equals to something, and description equals to something. In our case, title is our request. You remember we were logging request.body. So in our case, title is request.body.title. Let's write like this: rec.body.title, and description is rec.body.description. Okay, and after we create, we want then to we have access to this document that we created. We want just to console log the document, and after that we want also to catch error, console log error. Okay, so basically it should work now. Let's test. I will reload the page. Title, description, test, create a post. Okay, I think it's created, you see. But if you want to track all these changes in the Mongo shell, we can open a new bash terminal. Look. If you have installed the MongoDB on your computer, when you type Mongo, you should open a Mongo shell. So here we can show DBS to see all the databases we have, and our database is called MyDB. So we can say use MyDB, and here we can say show collections to view all the tables we have. So we have posts, and now if we say db.posts.findall.pretty, we see our created object. So we have finished with the create route. Now that we have finished with it, we can proceed to the read route. So now we want to see all the posts that we create here on another page listed. Okay, so for this, let's go to our create post component, and when we click this create posts button, we are sending the data to the server, but we also want to navigate to another page. Okay, so first of all, let's create this page. I will create a new component that will be called posts.js, and here we have a functional component where we just return a div with h1 that will say posts page, and we export it as default posts. Okay, now we go to our index.js file, import it here, import posts from posts, and create a new route for it, for this component. Okay, so here we change to posts, and look, the path will be /create/posts, because we are going from create page to the posts page. The URL will be like that. Okay, now you will see. Okay, so let's go to our create post component and add navigation. Use navigate we have already imported, so all we have to do is, when we are finished with our Axios function, we want to navigate to posts. Here you don't need to write create/posts, you just write posts, and the routing understands that we are going to /create/posts. Let's check. Marina, Kim, create posts, and tada, we are on the posts page. Now let's go to our posts component and make it style it a bit. Okay, so here the width will be 90%, and the text align center, and the margin auto. Okay, some typo. I see some typo. What the fuck? I think I'm in a rush. Okay, but no problem. Text align center. Okay, so here we need to get all the data from our post database. For this, let's import use effect from React, and we also need Axios from Axios. Okay, so first of all, we in order to fetch the data from the backend, we use the use effect hook with anonymous function, and here we leave as a second argument an empty square brackets. It's very important to avoid continuous rendering. Okay, so here we just say axios.get @/posts. We have not created yet this route, but we will later. For now, let's just finish this axios.get method. Well, basically, it's just this. All we need to do to avoid some errors, just to chain the then method where we have access to the response from the server, and we console log this response and also catch an error. Okay, so like this. Now we go to our server.js file and we configure this route app.get @/posts, function of rec and res as usual. And here what we want to do is we refer to our post modal and we just call the find all method. After we find all, we have access to the items, all the items in this collection. And then we want to res.json all these items, meaning that we want to send a response from the server to the client, sending these items in the JSON format. Okay. After that, we want to catch an error and just console log the error. Okay, I think should work. Now let's just reload and see. You see, we are receiving the data. I will just make a bit bigger. And in this response, we have response.data with the two elements that are currently in our database. So what we want to do now in our posts component, we want to save this response to the local state. And for this, we use the use state hook. Let's configure our state here above the use effect function. Okay, it will be called posts. Set posts equals use state. That is a list. So this is also important. Let's initiate it as a list, as an array. And here where we are console logging, I will add square curly braces and add another line to this function body, where we set posts to res.data. Because we need res.data, this to this array. And now what we can do is we can finally display them on the page. And for this, we open the curly braces to be able to write some ES6 syntax, and we say, by the way, sometimes you don't want to return the data before they are received from the backend. So just to avoid any issues, I do the ternary operator check here. So I ask if posts are available. If yes, then I do something. If not, then I don't do anything. Okay, so if posts are available, what I do is I add these empty tags inside which I can safely map through our posts. So posts.map, and for every post we want to return a div where with, just to test, h4 of post.title. Okay, yes, we are receiving, and let's say a paragraph of post.description. But okay, let's do some styling. Yeah, style equals for example border solid light gray 1 pixel, and let's say border radius of 8 pixels, and let's say margin bottom of 1 rem. Okay, that's good enough, I think. So now for every post we want also to return 2 buttons for each post. First button that we will first import from the Bootstrap. So first button is update and second button is delete. These are 2 functionalities that we will eventually implement. I think on our div we need also to add some padding of 1 rem maybe. Okay, and here we will wrap our buttons inside a div just for the basic acceptable styling. Okay, and on this div we will say display flex direction row, and justify content space between. Okay, and on our buttons we'll have the width of 100%, and here also margin right of 1 rem. Okay, I will just add the variant very quickly. This will be outline info, and this will be outline danger. Okay, good. Now we have finished the read route. We will proceed now with the delete route because it's a bit easier than the update. And then finally we go to we are going to update the post. Okay, so delete. When we click the delete button that is here, so on click we want to launch a function to delete this post, but this function will take an argument. Let's call this function delete post. It will take an argument, and the argument is the post ID, and we have access to this post ID right here. So we have post.title, post.description, and post.low-id that is generated when we are saving this post in the Mongo database. Okay, and now we have to write this function above the return statement. Handle, how is it called? Delete post. So it's called delete post equals a function that takes an ID, and what we want to do for now is just to console log this ID to make sure we are receiving the correct ID. So each child in a list should have a unique key property. Let's fix this small issue. Okay, the problem is that when we are mapping through our posts, we need to provide a unique key to the first returned element. In our case is this div, and we can actually do the post low-id also here because it's unique. Now when we click delete, we are receiving the ID. All we need to do now is use the Axios.delete method, where we will have, here I use the backticks because we will have the dynamic URI. It will be deleted at the API route localhost 3001 /delete/ and here will be the ID. Okay, I will not console log it. Okay, after that we have as usual the access to response, so we want to console log the response, and after that we want to catch error, console log error. So something like this. Now we go back to the server.js file and we write this API. app.delete at route /delete/ and here we use the colon ID. So this is called like request parameters. Okay, and the usual rec and res function here. What we want to do for now is just to console log what we are receiving as request parameters. So rec.params. Okay, rec.params. Let's open our terminal and check this. When we click delete, we are receiving the ID of our post that we want to delete. It means that we can use our post model to find by ID and delete, where the ID will be equal to request.params.id. Okay, and then we can say then we have the access to the document that we are deleting, and we want just to console log this document, and we want to catch error after that, and voila, I think we have finished. Let's test. We click delete here. We have logged the deleted document. If we reload the page here, we have only one document. But we don't want to reload manually, so when we axios.delete, when we delete the post and click this button, we want to window.location.reload. Okay, so now what we have is delete, and it's updating. But I think we also need a button here to go back to the previous page, because otherwise what do we do here? Let's do that. Let's do this button above our, below our header button, back. That on click will be, I think, will be like navigate to -1, but we have not imported the use navigate. So let's import use navigate from React router DOM and declare it here. Okay, so now it should work, but only if we provide a basic styling here. Just as usual, style equals width of 100, margin bottom of 1 rem, and maybe variant of outline dark. Okay, so now we can go back and we can create new post with new description. And we have finished with the delete route, delete operation. Yay! Now the last one is update, and for this I suggest we use a React Bootstrap modal. Let's go back to their website, components, search for modal. Modal. No, I need the modal, please. Yes. Okay, and let's choose the simplest one. Okay, here is a good example, I think. First of all, we need to import a modal from modal. So I copy this line, and let's go to our posts component and paste it here. Then we want to copy these variables and functions. Okay, and finally we want to import the modal itself. Doesn't matter where you paste it. I think I will paste it after the back button. Okay, and finally we want to on click handle show to copy this function and attach it to some of our buttons. So the idea is that when we click the update, we want to open the modal with a form where we can type the updated title and updated description and send to the database. Okay, so we have to tie this function to open the modal to the update button. Here it is. So let's say on click we will launch a function that will also take some arguments. We will call it update post, and the arguments will be post ID, post title, and post description. In general, like post. I think we can do like post. Yeah, let's try like this. And let's write this function. const update post equals a function that takes a post, and we want just to console log what we are receiving from this function. Okay, update, and we are logging the post that we want to update. Good. Now we want to open the modal when we click update. So we say handle show. Let's try. Okay, now let's work a bit on the modal. Instead of this header, we are going to have like update a post, and inside the modal body we'll delete everything and we will return a form, inside which will be form group, inside which will be two form controls. This one will be placeholder title, and this will be placeholder description. Okay, let's do also some margin here. Margin bottom equals 1 rem. Okay, so now we need to track what we are typing here. But first, when we click the update post, we want this model to already be pre-filled with our post information, right? So for this, I suggest we create a new state, for example here, that we will call updated post and set updated post equal to use state, and this will be an object, some object. Okay, so when we are updating the post, we said we are receiving this updated post. So instead of console login, we want just to set updated post to this post. Okay, so it means that our updated post state is now filled with whatever post we clicked. So if we click this one, our updated post information is available for us to use, and we will use it in our modal. For example, here in the first input we will say name equal title and value equal updated post dot title, but we check, we use the ternary operator here. We say, is updated post dot title available or is it existing? And then return updated post dot title. Otherwise, return nothing. Okay, and the same we will do on the other input. So name equal description and value equals updated post dot description if it's available. If it's not available, nothing. So here is how it looks like. And finally, what we want to add to these inputs is the onChange method. That will be handle change. And the same methods will be here. And we need to write this handle change function now. Const handle change is a function that takes an event. You know what? Usually we write just the E. It's easier. It's faster. We say set updated post to previous input and return a new object where we have previous fields and also where name equals value. So we are changing the updated post. Yes, because we need to deconstruct the name and value from event.target, if you remember. Yeah, so you see now it is pre-filled and we can even modify it. Now what we want to do is when we click save changes, we want to send the updated information to the server. So what we do is we find this button in our modal, save changes, and on click we write a new function that will be called save update post. or maybe save updated post. Okay, now let's write this function somewhere here. Const save updated post equals a function. Maybe it takes an event, or maybe not, where we want for now just to console log the updated post, just to make sure that we are updating and tracking and we are sending the correct information to the server. Now let's reload the page, click update, click new post title and new description testing. Okay, save changes, and you see we are logging the updated post with the updated information. Great. Now all we have to do is to send this information to the server. For this we are using the Axios.put method, and we also provide a dynamic URI, so I'm using the backticks, and we will perform this operation at URL localhost 3001 localhost 33 what is up with my diction 3001 /update/ here we will provide the ID of the updated post. So updated post dot ID, like this. It has a low-dash ID. If you remember, we have console logged it. So you see, ID is here. And as the second argument, we are sending a piece of updated information, an object. In our case, this object is simply the updated post state. Okay, now we can chain the .then methods where we have access to the response, and we can console log the response. And we can also catch error and console log the error. Ta-da! Now all we have to do is, when we click Save Changes, we want just to close our modal and window.location.reload the page. But this API is not working yet because now we have to configure it in our server. Let's do like this: app.put at route/update/ because we are sending the request parameters, it will be an ID, usual function of request and response. And what we want to do is just console log the request.params, and also because we are sending some piece of data, we want to console log request.body. Let's open up a terminal and check and test this. Command R to update, click update, new post title, save changes, and we are receiving the parameters of request and the body of the request. So cool. Now all we have to do is just refer to our post model and say find by ID and update. So first curly braces is the ID, the filter. So we say find by ID and update, where low-ID equals to reg.params.id, and the second curly braces is the updated information, that in our case is simply let's say title equals to reg.body.title, and description equals to reg.body.description. Okay, so after we call this method, we want to chain the method where we have access to the updated document, and we want to console log the updated document, and finally to catch an error and console.log the error. Save, and now let's test. Okay, so I will reload the page, update, new post title, save, and new post title. Ta-da! Everything is working. I hope you liked it. I hope it was not too long and too boring. If you did, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.